Hello, everybody. Welcome into Tuesday Night Thunder here at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. Let's get right into it with your race info. As we said, we are at Daytona International Speedway. It's the RMR Money Racing Series. Ignore the Jimmy Crow Money Racing. That was from last race. Looks like it was not able to correct itself as it manually did. But getting into the race format for tonight, it is going to be a 60-lap event. We are in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Going to be 100% fuel for these drivers. Unlimited tires, 1 fast repair. Fixed setups, 3 green-white checkers. And the all-important stage break that is going to come on the end of lap 20, so the caution will fly right at lap 21. And let's get down to your starting grid. Starting on the pole tonight, no surprise here, Dale Cup driver, it's going to be Steve Korosek. To his outside, it's going to be Kevin Fraze. Haven't saw Kevin around a little while, but last time we saw him, boy, he was strong. Third is going to be John Ellis Jr. Fourth, Mike Davenport, first team PGR driver in the field. Fifth is going to be Zachary Lima. Sixth, Jeff Merck. Seventh is going to be Jacob Emery. Eighth, Matthew Baker. Ninth, Ian Martin. 10th, Michael Triscaro. 11th, Jason Maines. 12th is going to be David Sheets. That's a McCall Motorsports driver. Good to see him back in here tonight. Ron Morris Jr. starts 13th. Tony Cox 14th. 15th, Eddie Hawks. To his outside, Ken McCall Jr., his McCall Motorsports teammate. 17th, Brandon Broadfoot. 18th, Michael Kirk. 19th is going to be Mark Vondell. And rounding out the field in 20th tonight is going to be Danny Eshelman in the 6 machine. Let's get down, give Steve Korosek a little bit more praise as he was able to sit on another pole, and he has got to have a streak going at this point. I cannot tell you the last time somebody has beaten this man when it comes to getting the poles at super speedways, custom setups, fixed setups. He knows how to get it done, but he's going to have a lot more work than just sitting on the pole if he's going to want to get a win tonight. championship fund is, of course, building up at $300. We'll talk more about it as the race goes on. But here we go. You see the backfire coming out of all the pipes. Everybody getting down into second gear, getting ready. Steve Korosek takes the green flag. We're racing at Daytona. Pretty even start right here from both lanes. The 25, Kevin Fraze is hanging strong on the outside. Zachary Lima already up there. The same Red Bull Racing machine. Not going to miss it. As they zoom their way down back to the field, already getting just a little bit spread out. This is pretty typical. We are going to see 3 wide here from Jeff Merck, Matthew Baker in the middle. Matthew Baker's looking to make a pop up with Jeff Merck, not going to yet. He's instead going to let him hop back down in line. The 21, John Ellis Jr. still sticking to the back bumper of Steve Korosek. Not that he necessarily has anywhere to go, even if he really wanted to. Kind of trapped where he sits right now. Ian Martin's out here. Good to see him. Just had a street stock race. Here he is, 98 machine. To his outside is Michael Triscaro. Let's talk real quick about the paint schemes. A couple of teams out in this race. Get you a good view of it here. Just give me 1 second. TV1 here as it goes flying by. There you go. You see it, the 34 Blaster paint scheme. Team PGR. You'll find his teammate who's just in front of him now in the 55. Running the exact same paint scheme. It's looking pretty good on those cars. Ron Morris Jr. It is showing up on his scheme tonight. That is because he was the maker of the paint scheme. He is not a Team PGR driver. He is a driver. Unfortunately, for some reason, our Trading Paints didn't want to load it in tonight. Had a little bit of a late start, has a busy day, but you know what's really busy right now is the action on track. Can Jeff hold on? He can't. He's going to wreck the 2. The 60, the 55s into the 21. Matthew Baker slides in. So does the 6, Danny Eshelman. Caution is out early. The 60 is going to slide back down the 32-degree banking. A lot of torn up cars early. Almost caught me off guard. Brandon Broadfoot has come to a halt. I don't know if that thing is going to be able to make it back around pit road, but it looks like now he gets it fired back up. Gets it moving, and only 3 laps in. This is not what we're used to seeing here. Mistake made by somebody here. Either way, brings out the caution. Let's take a look back at it. And this is going to start somewhere, I believe, with Jeff Merck. Let's get a better shot of this. See if we can get a view of... Ooh, he's already loose right here. Looks like maybe this is Mike Davenport coming up a little bit. I can't quite tell just yet. Watch the 55 in the middle, 3 wide. I want to take one more shot of this before I call it what I think it is. And yeah, the 55 maybe moving up just a little bit. Jeff Merck may have come down a tiny bit, but it looked like 55 was going up just a little bit. When they're 3 wide, not room to do it. That gets the 60 sideways. The 55 gets down into 21, and then it's on right here. Back up the track, go a whole bunch of them. The 34, Michael Triscaro, not going to be able to get through it unscathed. Jason Maines looks like he's doing a pretty good job trying to slide through Michael Triscaro and the 20. Jacob Emery both able to keep their cars relatively under control, but here comes the 24, Brandon Broadfoot. He's not going to be able to get it woed up in time. It's going to slide right into the back of Matthew Baker. That's where he gets most of his damage. That sends Matthew Baker into the 60 and the 21. And then Danny Eshelman on the apron tried to pick the right lane. Unfortunately, it was the wrong one. Up top, though, you see Ian Martin, Ken McCall Jr., both a couple more drivers that were able to sneak by. And it looks like the 59 of Mark Vondell going to also be able to get by this back here in the 59. And let's take one more view of this because I want to ride on board with Jacob Emery, who it looked like did a pretty good job of sneaking through this. Him and Jason Maines both. But I think Jacob may have been the first one that had to really worry about squeaking through it. So here we go. Here's a ride on board. The 20 machine. Oh, you see he actually does get just a slight bit of contact. It didn't seem all that bad. And this is what Jason Maines saw just behind the 20. Oh, man. You hear him trying to get it woed up while trying to miss any potentially spinning cars. He does a pretty good job of it, though. It's going to keep himself from potentially having to use a fast repair early, which a lot of drivers, it looks like, are going to have to do. Let's talk about your top 5 as they run right now. It's going to be Steve Korosek, currently still sitting in first after he got the pole. Kevin Frey second. Zachary Lima up behind his teammate starting third. Jason Maines fourth, and Ron Morris Jr. rounding out the top 5. And the 76 machine, of course, looks like the 78 Blaster machine. That is just for tonight. Trading Paints didn't want to reload, so it is showing the 78 stuck in that Blaster paint scheme. But not a bad paint scheme nonetheless. And we should see not really anybody pitting here unless you have damage, of course. Like Danny Eshelman, he is going to have to come down pit road. I'm not sure if he decided to use his fast repair in that incident or not. We'll see once we switch the camera angle right here. And that front end looks pretty clean all of a sudden. Something in that 6 may have used his fast repair. Gonna make that car a lot cleaner, but he is gonna have to be a lot more careful now out there because he won't have the fast repair to sit back on the 24. Brandon Broadfoot, he had to use fast repair as well. You see the 24 is all cleaned up. John Ellis Jr. in the 21 chooses not to use his fast repair yet. It looks like the front end isn't too bad on the 21, mainly on the back, a little bit on the right side. We'll see if the 21 machine can still stay up to speed. Jeff Merck trying to catch the pace car. Mike Davenport running through the trial. Just now catching up to the field. This is going to change things up early with that stage break falling on the end of lap 20. So the start of lap 21, if you will. Everybody wants to get a little racy to it. I'm not sure if there's a prize on the line for it or not. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Payout tonight is going to be for top 5 with $8 from each driver going towards that championship fund at the end of the season. Of course, the Tuesday Night Thunder is a weekly series. With it being a weekly series, there are points and there is going to be a championship race with a ton of money on the line. The championship fund, after just 3 races, sits at or over $300. I believe it's at $300. And that just continues to grow each and every week. Looks like we got a couple Tony Cox fans in the chat. Let's take a check on him because I saw Tony in here. We haven't really checked on him too much just yet. Currently sitting just outside the top 5, being really sneaky here in the 72 in 6. Last time we saw Tony, he had a couple stretches of bad luck. Seemed to be running in the right spot at the right time, and it just didn't work out. He's looking to change that tonight. He's looking good early here in the 6th spot. Steve Korosek, Kevin Frey's row 1, Zachary Lima, Jason Maines row 2. We'll see who can get the better restart. That inside line should be able to get it into turn 1, but we know the backstretch is the place to be on the outside lane, especially on that first lap. Here we go, though. Green flag back in the air at Daytona. Jason Maines lines it right up to the back bumper for the 25. Got there in a hurry. Looked like he had some urgency in that 13 car. The 12 of Zachary Lima. And then Steve Korosek, maybe the best field. There's a tough group to try to get around. You're going to have to work hard. Try to happen. But down the backstretch for the first time. Kevin Frey is still getting a big push from the 25, but Zachary Lima not going to let that 25 get clear of the 27. Steve Korosek still leading the way as they enter turn 3. Drops back here early. Brandon Broadfoot has went a lap down. Just sit back here as long as he is not involved in the next incident and nobody else goes a lap down. He will be able to get the lucky dog. Ian Martin sitting back in his Toyota Supra. David Sheets, one of McCall Motorsports driver, in front of him is his teammate Ken McCall Jr., who just won in the last race. So Ken knows how to get it done. Back here. Doesn't have to like racing for that stage, I don't think. Adam Rex, 400 counts, big money at the end. Talked to Ken earlier, said he wasn't doing too good in points in the series right now. He's not sure why, because he seems to have it figured out for every other series. And boy, that is certainly true, but just how it's been for that 03 car so far. Ooh, the 78 gets on the 8 for the 54, washes up behind him. Can they all keep it? Looks like they do. Michael Kirk had his hands full for a second, but what a wicked save from the 54. Chevy Camaro. 9 laps completed so far. We've already had one caution. I wouldn't be surprised if we were going to see another one shortly. These guys don't seem to realize it's a lap race. That's because of that stage break that is set to happen 11 laps from now. It will come at the end of lap 20. So at the start of lap 21 when the caution will fly. Right now the back bumper, Steve Korosek. You see Zachary Lima not shying away from any contact. Jacob Emery currently down 2 spots from where he started riding in the 19th. Not a bad place to get inside the top 10. Him and Matthew Baker are going to try to jump to the high side. 72 of Tony Cox. Going to have to dip back behind him. No progress to be made as we see the 72 drop down low behind the 78 of Ron Morris Jr. The 34 Michael Triscara. You see that car still has some damage. He chose not to use his faster. It works out for him. Remember, he just had slight contact with Jacob Emery. I feel like either of those cars are damaged enough to need to use that fast repair. And that's important because at the end of this race, they want to get crazy, they want to get racing. Somebody that still has that fast repair has the option to get a lot more racing than someone who doesn't. John Ellis Jr. still sit back here with Brandon Broadfoot. Looks like he was able to hang in the draft though of this 24 car. Ken McCall Jr. still yet to think about making any move. Try any strategy potentially by staying back here to ride on board with him here. Not full throttle at all. He's just going to sit back here so he can see the whole pack. And he'll have plenty of time to check up if he needs to. Cody Nagel's in the chat. Taking a short break while I'm dialing in my new TV wheel. Let's go Dale Cup. Kind of wondering why we didn't see out here earlier, Cody. Well, Ron, I said, well, Steve and Zachary are probably in here. There's see Cody in there. Didn't see, was wondering what was going on, but Cody got a new wheel. I wish I could get something similar to that. We'll see back out here. We'll see if that new wheel makes any difference. It's dominant enough already. Goes Dale Cup. Looks like Woogie Wolf says, thanks for showing the race. Mike is a little quiet when cars go by, and that is exactly what I appreciate you guys coming to do. Still getting kind of situated with the Tuesday night series here. One of the things that we've been working on that people were saying is they wanted to hear the cars more, the cars to be louder. So I turned it up. I will turn them down though, because I know what you mean, and yes, I can see that it is pretty loud. It just makes them a little quieter overall. Let me know if this is better though, or if I need to be louder, quieter, what you want the cars to sound like, and we'll fix it for you. Thank you for that. Let's go McCall Motorsports, says Robert Miller. The 25. Kevin Fraze gets clear with a push from Jason Maines. Is he going to drop low? All of a sudden, Steve Korosek is falling back a bit. Matthew Baker, Jacob Emery, we saw them jump 3 wide earlier. Are they thinking about maybe trying it for a second time? Since that first caution, it seems like they're kind of shying away from the 3 wide, and I don't blame them. Usually an incident early like that will scare a lot of drivers, plus the ones that have already used their fast repair. Doesn't matter how much they want to race. It's got to be risk versus reward. If you want to have any chance of getting money in that top 5 payout that's going to be delivered at the end of this race, you have to make sure you are there at the end of it. We will see a pit stop in that second. Actually, you know what? I think I bet it'd be really close. They shouldn't have to pit. These Xfinity cars can go 38 to 40 laps, but you do have to save to do that. When they go back green, it'll probably be somewhere around 35, 36 laps to go. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Everybody will come down, of course, and top off at the stage break unless you decide to pit maybe a lap or 2 before it. But I think that's a bad decision if anyone's thinking about trying that, especially how close that fuel mileage is going to be. 14 laps complete of 60 so far, though. Tonight we still have a competition stage break caution coming up on lap 20. And if you are just tuning in, you are watching Tuesday Night Thunder here on Ghost Racing Network with the Green Ghost. Let's go out throughout the field, talk about some of these guys in a little bit more depth before we get all the way to the end of this stage. Brandon Broadfoot not having the best night so far, driving the 24 machine. Currently sits a lap down, got involved in that first incident. He's going to need some help. John Ellis Jr., another driver that came out looking strong tonight, got involved in the first incident, sitting back. Ian Martin, of course, ISSL owner, just playing it safe right now where he sits in the 98 Toyota Supra. Doesn't want to get too aggressive. No need to right now. Fortunate thing for Ian, as fast as he is, doesn't have any teammates in the field. So he's going to have to look for drivers such as Danny Esserman, who also doesn't have a teammate. Danny having a solid night. Another one, though, that was involved in that first incident, and he's playing it safe right now. David Sheets, Wake Forest, North Carolina driver, and Ken McCall Jr., Savannah, Georgia driver. Those are 2 teammates for McCall Motorsports. They're drafted behind Mike Davenport, the furthest Team PGR driver in the field right now, down 10 spots in front of him. is Eddie Hawks, one of the newer additions to McCall Motorsports, one of the great additions to it. Eddie up 2 spots right now, and Mark Vondell is the biggest mover for McCall Motorsports, up 7 spots from where he started, currently running 2 spots outside the top 10. Jeff Merck in the 60 involved in that first incident. Looks like maybe one of the drivers that's not too scared to get back up here and get racy for it, as he is still in the 11th spot. Michael Kirk in the 54. Tony Cox, one of the fan favorites out here tonight, in the 72, runs just inside the top 10. Now we will get up to Jacob Emery, who's in 8th. Michael Triscaro right in front of him. Michael Triscaro, one of the drivers for Team PGR, supporting that new blaster paint scheme tonight created by Ron Morris Racing. Good looking paint scheme. Jason Maines is up here. Outside of him is Matthew Baker. And there's Ron Morris Jr., the man himself, sitting 3rd on that inside. Zachary Lima, Kevin Fraze, and Steve Korsek all making up your top 4. And we saw Matthew Baker dive to the outside. He tried to make a 3-wide move there. Wasn't able to get enough help to actually make it all the way to the front. And him and Jason Maines not really going with each other as it sits right now. The 34 Michael Triscaro, though, more than happy to work with the 5 machine, as the 60 Jeff Merck also looks like he's going to go with them. And into turn 3, look how close they get. Boy, Talladega seems to be a lot wider once you look at it from that view than we are here at Daytona. 3 wide is doable, but we saw early on just a slight bobble is all it takes. All of a sudden, you are around in the outside wall, and you really can't avoid the big one here once it strikes. And I don't think that first wreck was going to be the only wreck that we see so far tonight. Taking a look here now from the blimp cam, Michael Triscaro is going to shuffle out the 5 of Matthew Baker as he dives into that middle lane. Matthew Baker has to get back in line. Jacob Emery still sitting on the bottom. The 72 Tony Cox falling back for this moment. But Jeff Merck's going to get right back to his bumper. Up front, it's still the 25 of Kevin Fraze and the 27 of Steve Korsek. Jason Maines gives him a little bump, and I've been very impressed with the job this outside has been doing so far to keep it up in contest, with this inside lane of Steve Korsek and Zachary Lima. A lot of times on that outside line, you'll try to pin it down to that driver in the corner, and that way you give yourself a better chance on exit and down the straightaway to really get the momentum going. In the 13, watch him here. Let's actually ride on board with Jason Maines or go to his nose view. Look how close he'll get to the bumper here. Kevin Fraze, and then he'll eventually lock on. Boom, right there. He's locked on, and now he is just going to push. These cars do get pretty hot. But Jason knows what he's doing. He's going to give him a little bump back off, let the car cool down a little bit. Ooh, Michael Triscaro gets a little bit out of shape right there. Wonder if that damage is maybe affecting the side force just a little bit. Usually not too big of a factor at these super speedways. Jacob Emery drops back down to the bottom. Oh, we are going to see some pit stops. Looks like it's going to be McCall Motorsports drivers. Didn't really expect this, but here we go. Ken McCall Jr. locks it up. I think maybe he still got in okay. David Sheets, Eddie Hawks, Ian Martin, and Danny Eshelman. Remember, the stage does end this next lap. They are on the white flag lap for the stage, so we're going to go back to that because up front they're coming up on the lap car, the 21 of John Ellis Jr. John hoping he was going to be able to stay on the lead lap. He is going to go 1 lap down. That's not what Brandon Broadfoot wanted to see. But this is going to be a race of who gets the stage win. Still a 27 to 25. Nobody looking 3 wide right now. Matthew Baker, Michael Triscaro maybe thinking about trying to gear up a run here for out of turn 4. Yep, there goes the 34. He's going to jump to the outside. Jason Maines not going to follow. He's going to stick behind Kevin Fraze. Oh, we're going to have some more pit stops here. Matthew Baker, but to the line, it's going to be Steve Korsek winning stage 1 here at Daytona, the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. Green-white checkered is in the air. Let's go back down to pit road. Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck, 2 of the drivers that did decide to pit. Brandon Broadfoot, unfortunately, so close to getting his lap back. Not going to, as John Ellis just went a lap down. Should be your lucky dog. David Sheets. A couple of his teammates, too. Ken McCall Jr., Eddie Hawks. All these guys came down pit road 2 laps before the stage break. Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck waited till coming to the stage break. So we'll see if whose strategy plays out better. Matthew Baker and Jeff Merck are going to have a little bit more fuel. I think I like that call better because fuel's going to be really tight. I think we'll see some cautions later, but if for some reason we didn't, You're going to want to have as much in the tank as possible so you don't have to save as long. And if you have to go, you can indeed go. And while they're slowing down, let's get a couple reminders in here. First one of those is going to be the next stop for Ghost Racing Network after tonight, Tuesday Night Thunder. Tomorrow we head over to FEG PC. Haven't been over there in a little while. Excited to get back. It's going to be Wednesday night money racing at Daytona. $400 in prize money, $150 to first, $100 to second and third, $25 to fourth and fifth, which makes me think $25 might be the entry fee, so guys have a chance to get their money back. Either way, go check it out. You see green flag at 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch all the action here with the Green Ghost, of course, on Ghost Racing Network. We were going to potentially have a spinning of the wheel tonight. Ron Morse Jr. is having a race that he's already posted officially that will be happening next November, this coming November, I guess, if you will. It's going to be the high roller race, over 10 grand worth of payouts. First place, I believe, is going home with $5,000. I mean, can you even imagine iRacing going home with $5,000? The entry fee would be a pretty whopping $250, but Ron's putting some cool methods in here for guys to get a chance to get themselves cheaper entry fees to it, and one of those methods is a random draw going to be based on a spinning wheel. $10 an entry, 25 people on the wheel. We will hopefully be spinning that wheel on the broadcast. Was planned to do it tonight. Unfortunately, a couple of guys that spent quite a bit to get on a lot of spots on the wheel aren't here tonight. We want to make sure they have a chance to watch it when we do it. So maybe check back for that during the PGR race, which will be happening on Thursday as well. But getting excited for that. It's going to be a big deal. Going to be a lot more info to come throughout the coming months on it. And let's go see if we can get a word from your Stage 1 winner, Steve Korsek. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We just completed Stage 1. We're going to see if we can dial up your Stage 1 winner here, Steve Korsek. Steve, you got a copy?
Hey, I got you.
Well, I'll tell you what, you and Lima look fast and look like you guys are where you're supposed to be running that top two right now. First off, I want to start with what's it going to take to finish this thing off and get you guys a 1-2 finish?
I just hope that it's a clean race and we avoid all the wrecks if there are any. The goal is to try and stay up front, and we'll see what we could do.
All right, I know you guys are getting ready to go back green, so just one more question is, we saw a couple drivers pit on the last lap there coming to the line. Kind of surprised me a little bit. I didn't know that that was a thing for tonight, but did that guys maybe throw you a little bit off guard? Were you thinking you'd want to go with them if you knew that was coming?
No, it's all right. We got a little strategy.
All right, well, hopefully the strategy plays out, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the race. Good luck.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, and that is currently who is going to be leading them back to green, Steve Korsek, Zachary Lima to his outside. We will hop out of their Discord so they can get back focused. And there we go. Pace car getting ready to pull off. Steve Korsek getting ready to lead them back to green. Zachary Lima, the second row. We see a couple new guys up here. Ian Martin, Eddie Hawks. And it is going to be 35 laps to go at Daytona. Green flag back in the air. And how quick will some of those drivers that were in the back try to make it to the front? Seems like the strategy that Matthew Baker and Jeff Merck tried didn't work out quite as well as I think they were hoping it would. Ken McCall Jr. third on that inside. It might be time to race if you were to ask him. David Sheets, Eddie Hawks, those are teammates. We'll see if they try to leave this 12 in the dust. But Steve Korsek's going to jump to the top. Steve was drafted, buddy. And while everybody's still together here, how about a little Tuesday Night Thunder? Crank it up here at Daytona. Here we go. That is going to do it for tonight's segment of Crank It Up. I hope everybody did enjoy that. Up front, it's still Steve Korsek, Zachary Lima. You saw the 27 did jump back down to the low lane. Saw him jump up top, and I thought maybe he'd stay there because him and Zachary Lima work so well together. But I think their best chance at money right now from where we stand is going to be if they're both leading their lane. Eddie Hawks pushing on the back bumper of that 12. The 98 of Ian Martin is pushed on the back of the 27, and it looks like right now that inside is stronger in terms of momentum and pushing. Just as I say that, the 12 is getting a surge here with the 45, Eddie Hawks, but David Sheets not quite on the bumper. Eddie Hawks is going to have to link up to the back of the 12 if they want to make it work down the back, and that's what he's trying to do, but it looks like the 98 is going to win the battle to the bumper. That'll be just enough to hold it off. We are just about halfway through this 60-lap event. This is race 4 of the season. I don't think we've seen a repeat winner yet. But we have seen these two, Steve Korsek and Zachary Lima, jumping onto the money racing business, doing a heck of a job at it. Let's go back in the field, talk about some of these guys who are sitting further back right now. Brandon Broadfoot still currently lapped down. So is Jeff Merck. I'm not sure if maybe he got penalized or sped during that pit stop he made with Matthew Baker. And then it's going to be John Ellis Jr. How about Tony Cox sitting in 17th right now? Mark Mondell, Michael Kirk. We have Jacob Emery in 14th, down 7 spots from where he started. Biggest mover, though, right now in the positive direction is going to be Danny Esterman, who is up 14 spots. A couple other notable drivers is Ken McCall Jr. and Eddie Hawks up 11 spots from where they started. And I think the intensity is slowly ramping up, but not even close to the amount that we're going to see towards the end of this. Some of the drivers that are sitting back single file right now may be saving a little fuel. They know it's going to be close as well. But I do think everybody should be able to make it without pitting, especially if you waited. But we heard a couple drivers say strategy. When we talked to Steve Korsek, we heard him say they have their own strategy. We'll see if that strategy happens to be any different than what the rest of the field is doing. I wouldn't think it'd be anything drastically different, but you never know. And like just want to bring this up real quick. Well, these guys are still battling it out side by side. Tuesday Night Thunder still working just slightly as not a full-on practice series, of course, because this is real racing. Oh, Eddie Hawks gets loose. Hold that thought for just a second. Something about these Xfinity cars, you just get a little bit too much wheel into it. All of a sudden, it wants to come around on you. But as I was going to say, this Tuesday Night Thunder series, still a slight bit of a practice series for our broadcasting here. When I say that, it's a little bit of us trying some new things here and there. We don't have the full league package overlay that you'll see in some of our other races, such as the Fast Track Cup Series and Dale Cup. And that is simply because in the money racing business, you just have too many new guys that join each week. It's just about impossible to keep up with all the changes, especially as the broadcast is made on the daily. But the point I want to get to is, if you guys out there watching, just make sure you let me know, how does everything look? How does it sound? Is there something you want to see more of, less of? Can't tell you how much we appreciate the feedback enough. We got some earlier from Wuggy Wolf, who told us about how our mic sounded. We were able to try to get that adjusted, at least from what I can do. But that's what we need. We need feedback from you guys. So I just want to put that out there real quick. Back up front, though, Zachary Lima has found a way to drop down to that second spot on the inside lane. Ian Martin moves back to third. But the 45, Eddie Hawks, is now sitting in that lead position on the outside. He's got his teammates, a couple of them, Ken McCall Jr. and David Sheets in the Transmetic paint scheme. Behind him, Matthew Baker, Jacob Emery. I wonder if either of those two are thinking about trying to make a move. We saw, I believe it was indeed John Ellis Jr. was the driver that got his lap back. And it looks like he's still hanging with the draft this time. Better than he was able to last time, so he shouldn't have to worry about going a lap down as long as he stays where he's at. And that's what Jeff Merck, Brandon Broadfoot want to see. They're hoping that they can see a couple cautions, so maybe they both could get their lap back. On the other side of that, Steve Korsek wanted this race to go green the rest of the way. We'll see if that plays out in his favor. How about the speeds these guys are able to run tonight when they really get pushing? 192 down into turn one. We'll watch it down the backstretch. This is where they really can link up and push. And watch Zachary Lima really put it on the bumper here of Steve Korsek. Halfway down the backstretch, they're at about 191. As we dive it down into turn three, looks like 195. That's what he just maybe peaked at. And what position do you want to be in right now with halfway through the race? Handling is going to start to play a role the later we get into this run. I know people think of these super speedways. That's not the case. But Zachary Lima going to jump back out. He's going to try to cool down that 12 Red Bull racing machine. But here we go. Matthew Baker doesn't want any part of staying in line. He's going to jump to the outside, try to go with one of the Team PGR guys. They are going to bail out. I think that might have been Michael Triscaro. Nope, sorry, that was Ron Morse Jr., who is in a PGR paint scheme tonight, but is one of the McCall Motorsports drivers. David Sheets, Ron Morse Jr. thought maybe they go with Matthew Baker to get closer to their teammates. They chose not to, though. Instead, Zachary Lima is going to try to take the lead, and if he does, I wonder if he tries to drop down in front of his Dale Cup teammate, Steve Korsek, or does he stay up top where he runs? The 45 of Eddie Hawks is looking absolutely phenomenal, though, so far tonight. In the 45, just looks really comfortable out there. We saw him wiggle a couple times. That's just the general handling of these cars. That happens to just about every driver at least once throughout the race. Some of them we catch doing it, some of them we don't. But yeah, Eddie Hawks, the driver out of Sanford, Florida, as each lap goes by, it looks like he gets more and more comfortable pushing. And Eddie due for a good run here. It's just a matter of time. Ken McCall Jr., I don't think he's going anywhere just yet. He knows we still got a decent amount of laps to take down with 25 left here at Daytona. But Zachary Lima is getting closer and closer to getting clear of his teammate in the 27. But let's ride on board with Eddie Hawks to see just how hard he really is pushing in that 45 car. He's not pushing him in the tribal. He knows that's not a good area to be trying it out. So he's not going to risk it. But on the short shoot and the backstretch, that is where he will push. And it works out very well for him. One thing you don't want to do, and you see Eddie trying to make sure he's extra careful of it, is you cannot hit that guy in front of you in the corner. At least if you do, it's going to have to be extraordinarily subtle and gentle. All it takes is a little bump, and the more laps they run on these tires, the smaller that bump has to be. And that will spin a guy around, turn him right into the field, cause the big one. Danny Eshelman, for a driver who's already used his fast barrier, he seems to think that it is go time as he is still sitting third on that inside line. It looks like Kevin Fraze in the 25, who we saw pretty dominant in that last stage, racing Steve Korsek for the win, is one of the drivers sitting back here in 15th with Mark Vondell. Tony Cox, got to be careful here, doesn't want to lose the draft. It's kind of on like a borderline position. Ooh, actually, I don't know. He may not be in it. Ooh, it looks like he is just holding it. He is inside a second. As long as you're within about a second and a half, you'll still have the draft, but I think he needs to get back up there before he potentially loses touch, and that would be a night ender if that were to be the case. Michael Triscaro has found the back bumper of Mike Davenport again. Ron Morris Jr., David Sheets still riding on that top lane together. Matthew Baker separating them from two more of their McCall Motorsports teammate, who does have the biggest group in the field tonight. We don't see any Team 3 drivers out here. And Jason Maines is not linked up with Garrett Maines like we sometimes see, as he is not out here tonight either. This is potentially big points night for some of these drivers and a bad points night for others. It just depends on where you stand. Steve Korosek, Zachary Lima, a couple of those drivers that are looking to have a really good points night. Coolest thing about this Tuesday Night Thunder Series, at least in my opinion, is you can come out here any day of the week that you choose to. You don't have to be out here just strictly running for points. You can just simply come out here and have some fun, because each week there is a payout. It doesn't matter if you're running in the championship battle or not. All that matters is that you get out here and finish inside the top 5, and you could go home with some money. And the payout is usually supposed to be somewhere around 45. Of course, that would be with a full field. Not the case tonight, but the reason that payout may seem a little small, while it is still a great payout, don't get me wrong, 485. Winner going home with over $100 is still very impressive. You got to keep in mind that a lot of that payout is going to be going, to the championship fund, which is already at $300. It looks like 20 of Jacob Embry maybe thinking about getting a third lane going here. The 78 Ron Morse Jr., but I don't think Ron is going anywhere unless his teammate David Sheets decides to go first. Ron, another good pusher, but the 34 Michael Triscaro jumps up in front of David Sheets in that outside line. And I think he may be thinking about going here sooner or later with 21 laps to go. If you are all the way in the back, you don't have to get too anxious just yet, but you certainly don't want to be the last car to jump up on that third lane. I always feel like you can either be the lead car, the pusher, or even the third car in line. You give yourself a pretty good chance. After that, you might as well forget it. Look for a different line, fall to the back, because you're just not really going to be able to make that progress. And the guys up front play a pretty big part in these super speedway games as well. Sometimes we'll see trends where as soon as the guy on the outside gets clear, he'll drop low immediately. And sometimes we'll see if the guy gets cleared both lanes on the outside, they'll just stay there. They like the lane there and they'll like the pusher. And that can have a big effect on the rest of the field. Get some antsy. One thing I can tell you we're not going to see tonight is 4 wide, because you can't really fit that many here at Daytona. We've seen it at Talladega in a couple different series, and we might even see it next week, but you just can't make it work here at Daytona. 3 wide is already kind of dicey enough. At Talladega, 3 wide is similar to 2 wide here. But once they get 4 wide at Talladega, it's pretty much the same as 3 wide here. All jumbles together in some form. The start-finish line, of course, in the tribal here at Daytona, unlike Talladega, where it is about 100 yards after. But look who drops down in front of his teammate, Steve Korosek. Zachary Lima is going to be your new leader in the 12 Red Bull Racing Machine. And that opens up to Eddie Hawks on the outside. And I think Ken McCall Jr. is getting ready to get to work. But we'll see what Steve Korosek decides to do. Does he jump to that outside? Or does he stay on the back bumper of the 12 car? If he wants to make the move, he's going to have to do it shortly, because I think down the backstretch this time we are going to see those McCall Motorsports teammates get side by side trying to fight for the lead. And here we go. Watch the 45. He is alongside. Ooh, he got a big side drive. Oh, there's contact. Can they hold on to it? Big checkups behind. Everybody spreads out. They go 4 or 5 wide on the apron. It looks like they all hold it together. Jason Maines lets Danny Eshelman slide back up. Wow, what a save by all these drivers. And let's go back and take a look real quick. So I think Eddie Hawks, he got a good side draft initially, but it may have been just a little too much. Here we go. Let's watch this from TV1 here and see how it looks. Actually, I think I like TV3 better. There's a 45 off the turn here. You see he's getting down on the 27. He's trying to hug him really tight. He's going to hug him just a little too tight. And I don't know if Ken McCall Jr. gave him a little bit of a shot earlier, but he gets into the... Wow, holy moly, the 27. Both back wheels off the ground, somehow drives out of it. And hats off to the rest of the field for checking up so they don't run into him and give Steve Korosek a chance to save it. Nicely done, fellas. Let's go back live. See if this shook things up too much. Steve Korosek, no, actually it hasn't. You see some damage on the back of the 27, but that's about it. And I don't think that's going to affect him too much, if any. But Steve Korosek is going to try to keep Zachary Lima out in front. Ian Martin's going to try to do something about it, though, as he jumps to the outside in front of Eddie Hawks. Down the short chute at 17 laps to go. We still have not seen really any 3 wide since the stage break and caution. But you can feel the intensity picking up even as these guys just run double file. The runs are getting more aggressive. The pushing's getting more aggressive. Everybody's still trying to make sure they keep those cars cool. They know they're going to need to make them work. Keep those engines fresh for the next 17 laps. But guess who? Ian Martin's going to get clear. He takes the lead. And the ISSL owner, sponsored by Christian iRacers, in the 98 out in charge. Oh, looks like we had a couple peel off, and it's going to be pit stops for Steve Korosek and Zachary Lima. And it looks like the 72 as well of Tony Cox is going to follow. Did not expect these pit stops as early as they are happening. I didn't think the field would need to make pit stops. 100% fuel, especially here at Daytona. But these two... Oh, yellow flag is out. Not sure for what. Let's see if we can go figure it out. Oh, they're wrecking. Jacob Emery. The 59, Mark Vondel, slides down the banking. Everyone else looks like they're going to sneak by. But what happened here? Looks like Mike Davenport was maybe involved. 55 looks to be not too damaged from that view, but let's see what brought out the second caution right here. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. This is in front. That looked like a pretty sudden maneuver. So we're going to back it up just a little bit. You know, let's back this up even more. We're going to play it at full speed to start, and we'll go from there. Into turn 1, Jacob Emery. Oh, maybe slight contact between him and Michael Crisquero. That sends the 20 up the track. Pretty hard hits. Oh, wow. The 20 got absolutely slammed by the 59 of Mark Vondel, who had nowhere to go. And let's take a different view of it. Take a look from the spotter view. If this gives us any better insight of to maybe what happened. Actually, I think I want to try the chopper. I really want to see where this initial contact is going to start. Watch the 20 and the 34. The 34, they're going to get 3 wide right here. Michael Crisquero looks like maybe coming down just a little bit. 20 maybe just coming up a little bit. Doesn't matter because either way they make contact. The 20 gets down into the 6. The 6 trying to hold on to it, shoots back up, and now it's just a chain reaction. The 20 gets back up into Michael Crisquero, who slides in the wall, is able to hold on to it after that. It looks like at least. Oh, actually, no, the 34 is coming down the track here. Was he able to hold on? And then right there, boom, Mark Vondel, big hit into the toot. Picks him up off the ground in that 20 car. Jacob Emery slides back up. That's going to be a fast pair for both of those two for sure. Mike Davenport looks like he was able to pretty much sneak by here. Gets in the grass a little bit just to make sure that he does get by it cleanly. But how about we take a view on Jacob Emery's roll bar to see if this gives us any more insight into maybe if it looked like the gap was closing out or what. Right there's the big hit that really did it for the 20 cars. So that's not the way Jacob Emery's night wanted to end early. And it's not over for him because he does have a fast pair. So I guess I shouldn't really put it that way. And I know a lot of people don't like the fast pairs. Don't get me wrong. I understand it, of course, because sometimes you do have a couple drivers that maybe race more aggressive than realistically they should be, knowing they have those fast pairs. But times like that where it's just a racing incident, you really hate to see it end a lot of these guys' night. And with that fast pair, they have another chance at it. And it is going to be, looks like 13 or 12 laps to go, depending on if we get to 1 to go signal this time once we do go green. Current leader is going to be Ian Martin, though, in the 98. Eddie Hawks, second. Third is going to be Ken McCall Jr. Matthew Baker, fourth. And rounding out the top 5 is Danny Eshelman. And we are going to stay right here. We're not going to commercial, but what we are going to go do is see if we can talk to Ian Martin, because we haven't talked to him on a broadcast yet. And here he is leading, 14 to go. Let's see if we can go get him. All right, and we have found your current leader with 13 laps to go, Ian Martin. We're going to dial him up here. Ian, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, well, the 98 Toyota Supra is looking pretty stout up here in the front. But I'll tell you what, it looks like it is going to be 12 laps to go once you guys take the green. That's still a pretty long ways to go around this giant 2.5-mile oval. Just before we do go green, though, what are you going to do here? We know you don't really have any teammates in the field. How are you going to keep it up front here? Maybe have a chance at the win.
I have no clue. I'm going to do everything I can to stay up front. I use all the knowledge that I have. Like you said, I literally have 0 friends. So there's like 3-4 car teams all throughout the field. So it's literally me against the world. So I'm going to try to maintain the middle lane if I can get up there, and just do what I can. I'm just going to try to stay up front. That's all I can say.
Well, that sounds like the best game plan that I could think of, so good luck, and hopefully we'll see you in victory lane at the end of this thing.
Yes, sir.
And that is the 98 driver, Ian Martin, who you see on the inside right there. It is outside is going to be Eddie Hawks. I know it's not great news, but the somewhat good news here for Ian Martin is that Ken McCall Jr., Eddie Hawks' teammate, is not going to be lined up behind him, but he is going to be lined up behind the 98 of Ian Martin. So at least he won't have 2 teammates working together on his outside, but bad news is he's going to have the great pusher of Matthew Baker trying to get that 45 out in front. It is going to get wild. It's going to get crazy. And stay tuned so you don't miss any of it. Green flag back in the air. 12 laps to go here at Daytona. Ooh, Ian Martin got a big jump. Gets out in front, but this may not work out too well because Eddie Hawks and Matthew Baker are going to have a lot of momentum. You see Eddie has a little bit of damage on the back bumper, but boy, those two have linked up. Matthew Baker's trying to get Eddie Hawks up there before Ken McCall Jr. has a chance to get to the back bumper of that 98. Down the backstretch, there you go, there's the run. The 45 is going to be able to get clear. Can Matthew Baker also get clear? And will Eddie Hawks drop to the bottom, or does he stay up top further back? Zachary Lima pushing the 55 of Mike Davenport. 55 going to stay in line behind the 03. Sure enough, the 45 drops low right in front of Ian Martin in the 98. That opens it up to Matthew Baker up top. And as they work their way off turn 4 to 11 laps to go, we're going to see our first 3 wide action from Zachary Lima and Steve Korosek, who go up to the 3rd lane. Ken McCall Jr. has a chance now if he wants to go with the run. Looks like he's not going to take it. He's going to stay tucked behind Matthew Baker. And what a run from these 2 on the top lane. Only 2 cars. Steve Korosek is trying everything to get Zachary Lima to the front. Off of turn 2. Big push from both middle and top lane. That is going to stall them both out from getting clear. Zachary Lima still pushing as hard as he can to get clear of that 5. It looks like he's not quite going to do it into turn 3. But Matthew Baker does get clear of Eddie Hawks. Does he think about dropping down low? Out of turn 4, still 3x3. This view showing you the best of it. But let's go back down to our TV cameras. As Zachary Lima takes the lead, drops down right in front of Matthew Baker. How about that power move from the Red Bull Racing Machine? Oh, it looks like he drops low. I don't know if I like that decision. It looked like he had the momentum, but I think he was helping his teammate out. The 27. Oh, they're wrecking out back. Ken McCall Jr.'s around. The 98 of Ian Martin into the wall. The 6, Danny Eshelman across the grass. Everybody else trying to sneak through. Caution is in the air. 4th caution of the night with 10 laps to go. And it looks like Brandon Broadfoot may have been caught up in this one as well. Oh no, actually looks like he sneaks through it. Excuse me. Eddie Hawks, he's got a ton of damage. So does Ian Martin. Both of those cars going to need a fast repair if they both still have one. And I believe they do. And here we go. You see 3x3 here. The 45, Eddie Hawks, right now is up the track. So what we're going to do is back this up a little bit more. See if we get a little more insight into where this is going to initially kind of get triggered at. Watch the 45, 2nd car on that inside line as they work their way into turn 1 right here. And it looks like Eddie's just kind of coming off the bottom a little bit. Gets up into his teammate, the 03 of Ken McCall Jr. And that unfortunately sends Ken around. Eddie gets back into him, and he sends up into the 98. The 98 gets back 2 wheels off the ground, sends him up into that outside retaining wall. Danny Eshelman's in it, and then here we go, the 54, nowhere to go. Jacob Emery sneaks by for the most part. Doesn't look like he got too much damage out of it. But the 98 sliding backwards up on that outside wall. Can Tony Cox slide by right here? See if he was able to. I'm thinking he was. Gets in the grass. Wow, nicely done by the 72. And I want to ride on board with Tony Cox because he sure did a nice job for what looked like missing this wreck. Here we go. Tony Cox trying to get through the mess. Wow, just did a fantastic job getting that thing woed up, getting it down low, and getting through any chaos. Top 5 shuffled up a little bit with that. It's going to be Steve Korsek first, Kevin Fraze second, Matthew Baker third, Zachary Lima fourth, and Jason Maines in fifth. So we have some of the really heavy hitters back up in the top 5. That means they are going to be throwing big shots here. Everybody going to be trying to get the win, going for the big points payout and the big money payout. Mike Davenport, that thing's really torn up, and I don't think he has a faster pair left. But again, not sure. I don't have a stat for faster pairs. We just try to remember some of these guys based off their wreck. The 20, Jacob Emery, that thing looks really banged up in the back end, banged up in the front end. I don't think he's going to have a lot of speed right now. One of the drivers that looks pretty clean, though, is the 72 of Tony Cox. And it is time for him to make up some positions. Up 5 right now from where he started, currently in the top 10 and 9th. Mark Vondell in the 59. Also, a car looking clean, but he has already used his faster pair along with Jeff Merck. David Sheets, McCall Motorsports, sits in 12th. Danny Eshelman, 13th. Ian Martin did have a faster pair. He took it, but he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him in 14th. Ron Morris Jr. Haven't talked much about Ron from the early going. We saw him up front, but he's kind of fallen back and not gotten too close to the front since. Ron Morris Jr., though, of course, RMR owner, puts on these Tuesday Night Thunder Series events. Michael Kirk slid into that last incident, not really anywhere to go. It looks like that thing is all cleaned up, though. So I think he just used his faster pair. Ken McCall Jr. had to use his faster pair as well on the 03. So just about everybody 15th on back is almost guaranteed to use their faster pair. Ron Morris going to come back down pit road. Brandon Broadfoot is still a lap down. He's been fighting that since the early going, trying everything to get his lap back, but the pace car lights are off. That means we are going to go green with 6 to go and pick a favorite. Who do you think is going to win it right now? I think anybody inside this top 5, maybe even inside the top 10, has a shot at it. And I don't know if we're done with cautions just yet. You know the cautions tend to bring cautions. How about Kevin Fraze was on the outside line coming to the checkered flag for that stage 1 battle. This time, though, he's going to be on the inside line. He does have that dangerous duo of Lima and Korsek to his outside, but he has a very respectable pusher, Matthew Baker, behind him. If Matthew Baker gets the 25 clear, the 25 by no means is going to jump high, but will Matthew Baker think about jumping high? Jason Maines, he could play into this as well. And if you are just tuning in, now's the right time to do it because it is going to be a 6-lap shootout to decide it in race 4 of the TNT Series here for RMR Money Racing. We thank everybody for coming out, choosing Ghost Racing Network tonight. The pace car is getting ready to pull off the track. The 25 gets into first gear. We're going to ride from our spotter cam so we can see it all happen. Working his way up to the Geico restart zone. Green flag, back out, potentially for the final time here at Daytona. Steve Korsek got a really good jump. Him and Zachary Lima trying to link up. Third row on both lanes has fallen back, but that could be the deciding factor as we see Jeff Merck in the middle. Contact, he's going to get down. Can they hold it together? Further back, it looks like they do right now. Danny Eshelman's trying to get back up on track. The 20, Jacob Emery, Mark Vondell. Oh, no, they're wrecking out back. Here we go. Michael Triscaro, the 78, Ron Morris Jr., the 6, David Sheets. Another handful of guys involved. Caution right back out. Couldn't even get to turn 1, and that was just a mess that started before we got to turn 1 and never was able to make it out of turn 2. Let's take a look at it. And I mean, you see it right here. 4 wide, just not going to work. This is where I know these guys are fighting for every position, but sometimes somebody's got to do a little bit of give. Just nobody wanted to give there, but let's see where this is going to start. Danny Eshelman, Jeff Merck. Watch Jeff Merck in the middle, the 60. A little hard to see, but you're going to see a little contact here between him and the 59. Boom, right there. You see that 60 move just a little bit up in the air? That's the contact. That sends him down into the 72 of Tony Cox. They both save it. Don't really get any damage from it, but the 6, Danny Eshelman, dives low. He thinks they're about to wreck, and now he's trying to get this thing woed up, and it is not an easy task to do. He's got to that point now where he's going to need to get on track, and he actually doesn't give up on it here. Here's what I love about what Danny does right here. He could have just straight up sent it back on the track. He's trying everything to keep it down. The 54 is going to try to go around, and right here, I mean, you see it. They get 4 wide. It's just not going to work. The 34, Michael Triscaro, was trying to sneak through this mess in the middle. I think he thought the 6 was maybe going to stay in the middle. David Sheets all the way up top, giving these guys as much room as they can possibly have. But the 54, Michael Kirk, just gets a little bit up the track, trying to avoid the 6 into the 34. That sends the 34 up. Doesn't get into David Sheets initially, but comes back down to the 54. Then they both go up into the 06. Turns the 54 into the wall. And now, oh no, it looks like Ken McCall Jr. was collected in it. He gets hit from behind as well into Danny Eshelman. 34, Michael Triscaro, Ron Morris Jr., Eddie Hawks trying to sneak around this as well. It's a pretty big shot right there from Michael Triscaro. Looks like Eddie Hawks not going to be able to sneak by right at the end. And David Sheets, here's the big hit to the outside wall. We'll see how badly that affects him. But things start to get a little bit messy here late in the going. A lot of guys probably not too happy right now, knowing that they may have had a shot. All they had to do was check up a little bit more right there. Weren't able to do it. Contact was made. But that's just hard racing. I mean, these guys out here, kind of the racer's mindset. You know, late in these races, track position so important. You got to get it whenever you can, no matter how you can get it. If you see a gap and it's open, you're going for it. You kind of accept in your mind that that gap may no longer be open once you're there, but you see it, sometimes you got to take it. That's what these guys are trying to do this late in the run. But now it is going to be what looks like not quite overtime. I think we're going to go green with 2 to go in regular time. But if we have another caution, then we will go into overtime. Wow, it looks like somebody back there almost spun it out. I'm not sure if that was Michael Triscaro, Mike Davenport, or Ron Morris Jr. But Kevin Fraze is still leading the field. 27, Steve Korsek, second. Matthew Baker, third. Zachary Lima, fourth. Jason Maines, fifth. And that is because we didn't have enough time for anybody to really change up position right there. Get your picks in. Who is going to win it? I think now, if I had to pick a driver, again, I'm not picking favorites here. I'm picking who I think looks the strongest so far tonight. I think I really like the 25 right now, Kevin Fraze. Because when he was up here earlier, he stayed up here. When he fell to the back, he chose to stay the back. When he was ready to come back up front with authority, got back up here and has stayed up here since. A great Budweiser paint scheme. He is going to choose the top line, it looks like. Little bit unexpected here, unless I missed something. He wasn't the leader or something, but this could be a move to potentially break up those 2 Dale Cup teammates of Steve Korsek and Zachary Lima. That's going to put Matthew Baker on the bottom. Jason Maines is going to be in that third row, with the 21 of John Ellis Jr. He's had a pretty rough night, but he's back up here still fighting. Was able to use his fast pair, came from a lap down. And let's see who is all a lap down. I'll tell you who isn't a lap down anymore and who's having a chance at the money, and that's Brandon Broadfoot. Let's give Brandon a shout out. He fought and fought and fought and finally got his lap back, and now he's going to be in 14th spot, up 3 from where he started. And he may have a chance to win himself some money late in the going. Remember, it is top 5 payout. That's going to be your goal, but you definitely don't want to break even by any means. You're trying to go home with money and points tonight, and that means putting it all on the line those last couple laps. You're not here to make friends. You are here to make money. We're going to try this again from the spotter cam, and I really like that cam just because it showed us just how crazy and what all was going on that last restart. The top 2 rows got a great restart. The third row, though, last time didn't. And when that's the case, whoever gets to the bumper first on that third row could really decide it. They will not push if you're that third car in line. However, what you will do is get right near the bumper to keep that second car on the bumper of the lead car.
Green flag,
Green flag is back out. 2 laps to go at Daytona. Who's going to win it? Kevin Fraze this time gets a really good jump from that outside. Steve Korsek, though, going to try to stay side by side with him. Further back to 21. Thought about dropping low, but he's going to stay up top with Jason Maines. The 72, Tony Cox. He's just outside the picture now, but ooh, big run coming down the backstretch right here. 25, Zachary Lima, they're locked on. There it is. And the 25 is going to be able to get clear here most likely. But now the 5, Matthew Baker, is trying to fight back. Kevin Fraze gets clear, wastes no time. He drops down low. That opens it up to Zachary Lima up top. Tony Cox 3 wide on the bottom. Ian Martin up top. And if we take the white flag, it will mean no more cautions. Ian Martin still trying that top lane. He's going to get help from Ron Morris Jr. They are 2 by 2. Steve Korsek went back to the top, though. White flag in the air one more time around. And down into the short chute. Steve Korsek getting everything he can handle right now from his teammate Zachary Lima. And it's enough. He's able to drop down low back in front of Kevin Fraze. And I don't know if Kevin Fraze is going to have another chance to get back up because Jason Maines has made it to the back of the Red Bull Racing machine. Will Steve Korsek think about trying to jump back up top to help his teammate? Does Kevin Fraze get a chance to get clear? They are 3 wide further back. Here comes the 12 of Zachary Lima. Tony Cox back up to the top lane, up to 6th position. He'll have a chance to make a run if he so chooses. They are wrecking out back. Up front, though, still side-by-side battle. This might be a photo finish if that outside can get one more run. Steve Korsek, though, here we go. Into the travel for the final time on the bottom. Steve Korsek wins it at Daytona. Nice finish, fellas. Good win, Steve Korsek. 25, Kevin Fraze pushes him to it. Third is going to be Zachary Lima. We might see some dual burnouts from 2 of the best in the business at burning it down. But what a performance. Started on the pole, led a bunch of laps, and here he is in victory lane. We talked to him earlier. We said we'd hope we were talking to him later, and sure enough, that's what we're going to be doing. We will be getting interviews from your top 3, and while they get ready to do these burnouts, we're going to go see if we can find them. All right, and we are going to start with your third place finisher, Zachary Lima. Zach, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, your Dale Cup teammate Steve Korsek gets the win. You come home third. Looks like you just couldn't really do much more there. Kevin Fraze, I heard you note, it's a really good driver. But what else could you have used there to maybe get a chance at stealing the win?
Um, it was really kind of up to the pusher behind me, and it's a bunch of good guys up front. It's tough to call that out, but mainly, Steve was in the front working it, so I think the goal was I was just trying to push Steve for the win and get the best finish I could.
Well, it looks like it worked out because both of you on the podium, and of course, Steve getting the win. Congrats on the third place finish. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, man, I gotta thank Korosek for being such a good teammate and always qualifying really good. Always better than me, I guess it's good to have a teammate better than you, right? But I want to thank you for the broadcast. You have a really good broadcast and you do a good job, bro. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That is your third place finisher, Zachary Lima in the Red Bull Racing Machine. And now we will pull up your second place finisher. Sorry, we will pull up your second place finisher here. And that is going to be Kevin Fraze. Kevin, you got a copy?
Yeah, how you doing, Austin?
Man, I'm good, but we just heard from Lima. You are one heck of a pusher. Not much more he could have done to try to get around you. Either way, you push Coruscant to the win, come home second. Tell us about your night.
Oh, it was pretty calm, pretty tame. I'll take it. All things considered, stayed out of the trouble. Went there. I was telling Steve I went and got tires on that last restart, and the second to last caution, I believe, and it really helped the handling when we went to the third lane. Everybody did, and it could just stick to their bumper easily without the car sliding around. Because as the tires wore, it felt like it was moving around a lot more.
Well, you had a great night overall, though. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank Jason and John, who I was running with tonight, and thanks to everybody who's in really that top 5. They all and 6. They all did a great job. Raced it clean, really aggressive, a lot of fun.
All right,
And
ladies.
thanks to Ron and of course you for putting on the broadcast.
All right, man. Well, thank you and congrats on that second place finish, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Fraze in the 25 car brings it home second. And we will now pull up your race winner. Let's get him in here. I think he's going to be a pretty happy fellow. That's going to be Steve Korsak. Steve, you got a copy?
Hey, I got you.
Well, you and your teammate both on the podium. However, you come home with the victory. How'd you get the win at the end?
Yeah, I just pushed Kevin clear and got up with Lima, and he pushed me past him, and we just held the front 2 lines. I thought they were still going to get by us. There was a point where Kevin looked like a foot from clearing and being able to go up, and I was just hoping that gap would stay, and we got lucky, and it did. We just held on for it. The caution fell perfectly for us. I thought that we might have been in trouble, but it all worked out. And yeah, it had a really good race. That race, I'll take it.
It certainly was a good race. I want to ask you one more question because we saw just how dominant you and Lima both were tonight. Tell everybody at home watching just how important it is to have teammates and how good it is to have good chemistry at these super speedways.
Teammates are everything in super speedway racing. If you don't have teammates, it's going to be very hard. So always go super speedway racing with your team.
All right. And before we let you go, of course, is there anybody tonight you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out you guys, Ghost Racing Network. Shout out to RMR putting this on. And shout out to Dale Cup and my teammate Lima. And all the drivers in here. It was a good show. It was some hard racing.
Was a good show. We look forward to seeing more of it as the season progresses. Congratulations on the win, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Korsak in the 27.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. We will let him get back to his teammates. Before everybody gets out of here, let's go over your final finishing results tonight. Bringing it home first was Steve Korsak in the 27. You heard just how important teammates are. Second is going to be Kevin Fraze. Third, Zachary Lima. Fourth, Matthew Baker. Fifth, Jason Maines, rounding out the last money spot. Sixth is going to be John Ellis Jr. Seventh, Tony Cox. Good recovery. We almost saw him break into the top 5 right at the end. Eighth, Ian Martin. Ninth, Jeff Merck. Mark Von Dell inside the top 10. 11th, Brandon Broadfoot. 12th, Jacob Emery. 13th, Eddie Hawks. 14th, Mike Davenport. 15th, Ken McCall Jr. 16th, Danny Eshelman. 17th, Ron Morris Jr. 18th, Michael Kirk. 19th, David Sheets. And rounding out the top 20, and the last car in the field tonight is going to be Michael Triscaro in the 34 Blaster Racing Camaro. That is just about all we have here for you on Ghost Racing Network tonight. I hope everybody did enjoy. Again, this was kind of another practice stream, but next week we are going to have a lot more stuff set up here as Tuesday Night Thunder continues to get established. Don't forget, though, tomorrow, Ghost Racing Network does head over to FEG PC for some Wednesday night money racing at Daytona under the lights. $400 prize payout. Don't miss it. We'll see you then. I hope everybody did enjoy. That's it for the Green Ghost here on Ghost Racing Network. Have a good one.